Okay, hello, welcome. So this is the first GCSE video for Mr. Gill's science stuff. We're looking at the topic of health and disease and pathogens and disease. So types of pathogens are what kind of illnesses they cause and why. Now obviously I know this is quite timely with you all sat at home because of a pathogen, but we're not going to specifically discuss coronavirus in this video. Reasons are it's not on your syllabus. Also I'll probably do a separate video on coronavirus specifically for those that are interested at another time, but we're going to stick to the lesson content for today. So, this is the syllabus. As you can see, you should be able to know what causes disease, the types of diseases that there are. Specifically, we're then going to focus in on the pathogens, which are microorganisms, tiny little living or non-living things that can produce disease, how they get transmitted, and what they do inside your body when they get in there. So, we're not going to look at that part, because that's going to be done in a separate lesson called Preventing the Spread of Diseases. So, first things first, you may already know this, so I'd like you to pause the video and take a moment to see if you can work out which of these definitions matches which of these key terms for health, communicable disease, non-communicable disease, and other factors affecting health. So, pause the video now and have a go. Right, done that? Good. So, answers wise, number one, health is a combination of physical and mental well-being is defined as your health. Two is D, so communicable diseases are infectious diseases caused by pathogens, which is primarily what we're going to be talking about today. So they're diseases that can be caught, for example, tuberculosis, flu, and of course, coronavirus. So, non-communicable diseases are diseases which you cannot catch, for example, inherited diseases, things like heart disease, arthritis, various genetic diseases like cystic fibrosis and so on and so forth. And of course that leaves 4 to be B, so other factors that might affect your health, your well-being, would be stress, diet, all the so-called lifestyle factors, which again are in another lesson. So, don't think these are independent, that the factors that cause non-communicable diseases don't cause communicable diseases, and there's absolutely no linkage between the two. Of course there is. So immune system defects increase the risk of infectious disease. If you inherit an immune problem, it makes you more susceptible to pathogens. Certain viruses increase the risk of cancer, for example HPV, many of you might have been vaccinated against. If the immune system overreacts, it causes allergies, for example skin rashes, asthma, all that kind of stuff. And all these things can impact on your mental health. So being physically ill for a protracted period of time can really impact on your mental health, which I know a lot of you probably were feeling with this quarantine so far this week. So, this is the bit of the syllabus, what you should be knowing. Pathogens being microorganisms that cause disease. Pathogens are viruses, bacteria, protists or fungi, and they may infect plants or animals and can be spread by direct contact, water or air. So you need to be able to, as it says there, explain how diseases caused by viruses, bacteria and protists are spread in both animals and plants. So, when we say pathogens, what we mean is any microorganism generally that can cause disease. Okay? So the main ones that you're talking about for GCSE purpose are your bacteria, your fungi, and your protozoa, and your viruses, of course. Okay? Now, just because all pathogens are these type of microorganisms for GCSE purposes does not mean all microorganisms are pathogens. Most microorganisms work really well with us. As you will have learnt in Key Stage 3, they're used for all sorts of things, from brewing to baking to producing various products, to producing baby food and washing powder, and all these things are incredibly useful. But we're only focusing on the ones that cause us problems because this is a topic on the pathogens. So, to give you an idea of the relative sizes, as it said there, they are not to scale on that previous video. This is a little graph that shows you in terms of this scale here, which is logarithmic. So from the biggest here, every single one divides by 10 and gets smaller and smaller and smaller. That a frog egg, something you can probably imagine the size of, is up there at 1 millimetre across perhaps, in that order of magnitude. The human egg cell is down here on the very limit of what you might just be able to see with the human eye, but only just. And then right down here we've got the plant and animal cells. Of course there's a range there, because it depends on the cell you're talking about. Then we're down to red blood cells, bits of cells like mitochondria, and then we're into the sort of idea at a micron scale, So that kind of scale, we've got the bacteria in there, and if we go much smaller again, down to 100 nanometers, that's 10 to the minus 9 of a meter, you've got your flu viruses, your smallpox virus, and then down here, even smaller, you've got polio viruses. And you can see the comparison down here, so right the way down to the atomic scale at 0.1 of a nanometer. So they do vary in size an enormous amount. So from the polio virus up to a bacteria, that's about 100 times scale difference. Okay, so there's a big difference in scale there. So don't think just because in that picture they look the same size, they are. They're very much very different in their orders of magnitude. So you should remember from the cells topic that this is the structure of our standard bacteria, our prokaryotic cell. Go back and revise that if you don't. But these are our viruses. So this one over here is a standard virus particle here, which has got a viral genome. It's either made of DNA or a thing called RNA. It's got a protein coat and an envelope around it. Okay, and then proteins out here that allow it to stick to its target cells and enter those cells. You've also got more complicated looking viruses here. This is a bacteriophage, one that infects bacteria, which actually is a little tiny hypodermic needle. So viruses come in all shapes and sizes and can do incredibly complicated things on that tiny scale. Okay, so you've got the tiny little legs that bind onto the side of the bacteria, and then this here has got a little pin in it which injects the DNA into the bacteria. Creepy, huh? So this is a fungal cell, very similar to your cell, but of course it has a cell wall. Again, you can go and revise the types of cell separately to this video. So, how do those three get passed around? Well, this you should be very familiar with because of course it's been all over the news, all over public dialogue for the last few months. You've got transmission of microbes using the pictures to work out the three ways which can be transferred. So this one here is of course direct contact, so hand-to-hand, shaking hand, touching doors, touching surfaces, that kind of stuff. Any idea with this one over here and this one over here? Well, this one down here is what we call water contamination, so things like cholera in places where there's been natural disasters or war or large number of people not in permanent accommodation. You get transfer from what's called the fecal oral route to contaminated water. And then of course in this one we've got droplet infection, air. Okay, so airborne particles, which again is why you need to spend time a little bit distancing from people who are sick. So, how pathogens spread? Well, as we just said there, microorganisms which cause infectious disease are called pathogens. They can be protists, bacteria, viruses or fungi. They can affect plants or animals. Okay, and air, water, and direct contact are the main ways they are spread. There are other ones, for example, rabies is spread by animals, and there are of course sexually transmitted infections and various other ways, blood-to-blood contact, that you can spread the disease as well. But for GCSE purposes, air, water, direct contact are your main ones. Okay, so how do they make us ill? When pathogens are inside our body, what is it they actually do that makes us feel sick? Because as I say, most of them don't. Okay, you are an absolute zoo of viruses and bacteria in you. In fact, bacterial cells outnumber your cells 100,000 to 1. Okay, you are mostly, in terms of numbers of cell, bacterial cells. There's about a kilo of them in your gut, and your gut doesn't function very well without them. But the ones that make you sick, what is it they're actually doing? Well, we'll focus only on bacteria and viruses. So bacteria, once they get into the inside of your body, get somewhere where they shouldn't be, they reproduce rapidly inside the body, and some colonize tissues, digest tissues, do nasty things like that, and produce toxins. A really famous example of this is cholera. So cholera produces cholera toxin, which affects the inside of your gut, leading to dehydration, which is what in the end kills you if you've got cholera. Okay, so that's the structure of bacteria. They are much larger again than viruses, so 10 to the minus 6 of a meter, for those of you that remember your standard form, so they're measured in microns. Okay, and we've done that topic already. Viruses, however, aren't alive on their own. Okay, they are non-living, acellular, right? So they can't reproduce without your cells. So what they do is they get into your body, they use those spikes on the outside to attach to your cells, get taken inside the cell, and use the machinery of your cells to reproduce more copies of themselves. So they reproduce inside the cells, damaging your cell, bursting out of your cells, and bursting the cell that they're infecting. Okay, so they're measured on the nanometer scale. 10 to the minus 9, so nanometers. To give you a little more on viruses here, there will be a separate lesson on viruses, as I say, but that's what they do. They get inside the cell, or they put their nuclear material inside your cell, which invades your nucleus here, takes over the nucleus, forces your cell to make more copies of the virus, which then burst out through the membrane and go on to infect more cells. Okay, so obviously your body doesn't take this lying down. There are symptoms of infectious disease, some of which are caused by the infection, by the virus and bacteria, some of which are caused by your own body's response to it. So you've got headache, high temperature, skin rashes, runny nose and coughs, all these kind of things are symptoms of an infection of some sort. So these are ways your body responds to the toxins of the bacteria and the cell damage caused by the viruses. So you can do a little bit of research on this and work out why you think you get these symptoms, which symptoms are just for you, and which symptoms are actually the pathogen. Okay? So we'll finish with a little quiz, right, in terms of which of these is bacteria, which is virus, which is both. So pause the video here, have a little read of these 11 statements and try and work out if they are bacteria, virus, or both. Okay, done that? Really? Okay, so reproducing rapidly in the body is, of course, both. Okay, bacteria and viruses both do that. Making toxins, that's bacteria. Damaging cells as they live inside them, that's a viral thing. Number 4, what's the name of the microbe which causes disease, is a pathogen. Right, the name of the lesson. Name 4 different types of pathogens, or bacteria, virus, protist, and fungi. A bit of a spelling mistake there, I'm afraid. Number 6, what 2 groups of organisms do pathogens affect? Well, they infect both plants and animals, and they can infect bacteria as well, but that's more advanced than the GCSE. Number 7, what 3 ways can a pathogen be transmitted? Air, direct contact, and water is what we've been through in this video. Number 8, what can certain pathogens increase your risk of? Cancer, HPV being the example. Number 9, if this is defective, you are more likely to get an infectious disease, is the immune system. Number 10, what happens if your immune system is overactive? Well, that's allergies and that's autoimmune disorders. And number 11, what can be affected by poor physical health? Of course, it's poor mental health. So, there's our key points in summary. Right, you need to go through, make sure you know those definitions. Right, make sure you've completed all the different revision activities that have been set for you. And we'll come back and talk in more detail about how your body reacts to these infections in the next video. Thanks very much.